No one expected a Monday night to explode like this. Offset being shot at a Hollywood, Florida casino, followed by shocking hospital footage leaking online, sent the internet into chaos. The rapper was struck in the valet zone of the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, rushed to Memorial Regional Hospital, and suddenly the world couldn't stop asking, what really happened? Let's break down the night that has everyone on edge, and why this footage has become impossible to ignore. On the evening of Monday, April 6, 2026, Offset was shot just outside the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida. The attack was sudden, almost cinematic in its speed. It unfolded after 7 p.m. in the valet area, leaving Offset injured but, thankfully, in stable condition. Details about what triggered the gunfire remain murky. As of Monday night, the origins of the attack were still a mystery. What's clear is that the Seminole Police Department responded immediately, descending on the scene with urgent precision. Officers contained the chaos quickly, detaining 2 people at the scene. Their names and motives have not been released, keeping the public guessing. Meanwhile, Offset was rushed to Memorial Regional Hospital, where he received care for injuries described as non-life-threatening. Police carefully worded their official statement, deliberately leaving out Offset's name, but his team confirmed the shocking reality. He had been shot, and he was alive. The Seminole Police Department released a statement carefully avoiding the rapper's name, describing only an incident in the valet area outside the Seminole Hard Rock Hollywood. But Offset's team didn't hold back. We can confirm Offset was shot and is currently receiving medical care at the hospital, said a spokesperson. He is stable and under close observation. Within minutes, that statement blasted across Variety, Rolling Stone, Complex, and TMZ, igniting a wildfire of headlines. Then the footage appeared. Social media erupted as videos surfaced, showing what looked like the immediate aftermath of the shooting. Daily Loud shared a clip with the caption, "Breaking, Offset shot at a Hollywood, Florida casino." The footage was chilling. A person lay on the ground, motionless, the chaos frozen in stark reality, though it was impossible to confirm if it was Offset. Then came the hospital clips, the most shocking of all. Suddenly, a press release wasn't enough. Seeing him lying in a hospital bed, monitors beeping, staff rushing around, brought the horror to life in a way words never could. Fans and the public reacted with disbelief, panic, and speculation. Thousands shared, commented, and debated. The human fear was palpable. Reading that someone is stable is one thing. Seeing them in a hospital bed is another entirely. That stark, raw contrast, official assurance versus visual reality, is what made the footage go viral. This wasn't just news. This was Offset's life, flashing across screens in a way no press statement could ever capture. We're not just talking about a rapper. We're talking about a man who has walked through fire, who has carried scars the world will never see. To understand why the internet reacted the way it did to Offset's shooting, you have to go back to one name, Takeoff. Takeoff, 1/3 of the unstoppable rap powerhouse Migos, was Offset's cousin and Quavo's nephew. Born and raised in Gwinnett County, Georgia, the 3 grew up as family and brothers, eventually forming one of the most dominant rap groups of the last decade. But on a fateful night in November 2020, that brotherhood was shattered. Takeoff was shot and killed outside a Houston bowling alley, 810 Billiards and Bowling, a private party that had spilled into the streets. The clock read 2:40 a.m. when chaos erupted, and someone opened fire. Takeoff had been playing dice with Quavo, completely unaware that violence was about to strike. The most tragic part? Takeoff wasn't even part of the fight. The Houston Police Department confirmed he was unarmed, an innocent caught in a deadly storm. The bullets that ended his life tore through both his head and torso, leaving a hole in the heart of a family, a group, and a community. Forensics later confirmed that Patrick Xavier Clark, the man apprehended by HBD's gang division during a traffic stop in 2022, was the only person positioned to have fired those shots. The details were brutal. The grief was unimaginable, and the world watched, powerless, as one of hip-hop's brightest stars was taken far too soon. In May 2023, a grand jury formally indicted Patrick Xavier Clark for the murder of Takeoff. His trial is scheduled for November 2026, a date that has loomed over the family for years. The wait has been excruciating, a slow, unending reminder of the night that changed everything. When the shooting erupted in 2022, the entire hip-hop world shuddered. Migos record label, Quality Control, released a statement calling it senseless, a tragic reminder of how quickly life can be stolen by a stray bullet. Tributes poured in from every corner. Athletes, artists, politicians, and prominent attorney Benjamin Crump, who said, "Gun violence is tearing our communities apart. This young, talented black man did not deserve to be taken so soon." For Offset, the grief was nearly unbearable. In a rare cover interview with Variety, he revealed how he had carried the pain in silence. "I get through my day thinking it's fake," he admitted. "I don't say anything to anybody." Those words cut deep, a window into a man trying to survive a reality he couldn't even speak aloud. He had spent 3.5 years pretending it wasn't real, masking the psychological weight of a cousin lost to violence. And now, in an almost cruel twist of fate, Offset found himself in a hospital bed, shot, the tragedy he had lived through personally repeating itself. The news shattered the hip-hop community again. Less than 4 years had passed since Takeoff's death in November 2022, and the wounds were still raw. The viral hospital footage ignited panic. Fans didn't just see a celebrity injured. They saw a man who had already lost family to gun violence, staring death in the face once more. The reaction was instant. Not again. Not another Migos member. Not another shooting. The dread was palpable, the fear raw, unfiltered. That is why the footage spread with such intensity, because it was more than news. It was history repeating itself, and the world watched in stunned silence. Now, Offset lay in a hospital bed, another victim of gun violence, a moment heavy with almost unbearable emotional weight. The echoes of loss from Takeoff's death were still fresh. After that tragedy, Quavo and his family had launched the Rocket Foundation, funding grassroots initiatives to combat gun violence, meeting with the Congressional Black Caucus, and even Vice President Kamala Harris, sharing the devastating impact violence had wrought on their lives. That mission was real. It was urgent. And now, less than 4 years later, the same shadow had fallen over the family again. To truly grasp the gravity of this moment, you have to understand who Offset really is, beyond the headlines, beyond the stage lights. Kiari Kendra Cephas, born December 14, 1991, known professionally as Offset, is an American rapper, singer, and songwriter. But his rise to fame was never easy. Before the fame, before the sold-out arenas, his story began in courtrooms and jail cells. When Migos first began their meteoric rise in 2013, Offset was locked in Georgia's DeKalb County Jail, serving time for probation violations tied to previous felony convictions for burglary and theft. He literally missed the moment the world started paying attention. While the group exploded on the charts, he sat behind bars, cut off from the very success he had helped build. In April 2015, the trio was arrested again, this time at a Georgia Southern University concert. Authorities halted the show and took Offset and his bandmates, along with several members of their entourage, into custody. Denied bond, Offset faced charges ranging from possession of a Schedule II narcotic, marijuana possession, possession of a firearm in a school safety zone, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime. While he sat in custody, the world outside kept moving. But for him, the struggle was just beginning. Things spiraled even further out of control. On May 2, 2015, while still behind bars, Offset was charged with battery and inciting a riot within the penal facility after a violent altercation with another inmate left the man severely injured. When the judge denied him bond, Offset erupted, shouting profanities as he was escorted from the courtroom, a raw display of frustration and desperation that foreshadowed the struggles he would face outside those walls. After 8 grueling months in custody, Offset was finally released on December 4, 2015. He accepted an Alfred plea deal that wiped away the gun, drug, and gang-related charges in exchange for pleading guilty to inciting a riot, paying a $1,000 fine, serving 5 years probation, and being banished from Bullock, Effingham, Jenkins, and Screven counties. It seemed like a conclusion, but for Offset, the saga was far from over. Fast forward to July 2018. A routine traffic stop turned into another headline. Pulled over for a tinted window violation, Offset's car was searched, revealing 3 handguns, a small amount of marijuana, and $17,000 in cash. He was arrested and booked on 4 charges: possession of a firearm by a felon, possession of a weapon during a crime, possession of under an ounce of marijuana, and an improper lane change. The case seemed explosive, but eventually the charges were dropped. Then, in January 2020, history nearly repeated itself. Police in Los Angeles responded to a tip reporting someone with a gun in a parking garage at the Grove. Offset and members of his team were detained while authorities investigated. Once again, his life teetered on the edge. Fame and freedom constantly shadowed by the weight of legal battles and violent potential. Offset was eventually released after 2 of the other arrested members claimed the guns were theirs. But the shadow of violence has always haunted him and those around him. From stabbings at a Migos concert in Albany, New York, to a woman being beaten and robbed, to a brawl in Nashville sparked by a stolen gold chain, chaos seemed to follow the group like a dark cloud. And the danger didn't stop there. In March 2014, their tour van was riddled with bullets in a drive-by shooting in Miami, forcing the band to return fire. Violence has clung to Offset for his entire life, shaping every move, every decision. And now, in 2026, the cycle struck again, him, lying in a hospital bed in Hollywood, Florida, shot in the valet area of a casino. But the story doesn't end with bullets. Another storm has been brewing in Offset's personal life, his very public divorce from Cardi B. After 7 years of marriage, she filed in July 2024. Their split has been anything but quiet. Custody battles, financial disputes, and public feuds dominate headlines, with Cardi seeking primary custody of their 3 children. Offset is father to 6, Culture 7, Wave 4, Blossom 19 months, all with Cardi B, plus 3 children from previous relationships, Jordan, Cody, and Ka. 6 kids, each one a reminder of the stakes he's juggling, now staring down mortality in a hospital bed. The divorce has been a battlefield. In May 2025, Offset amended his petition, requesting spousal support and joint custody. Cardi didn't hold back. "The only reason I'm still married is because somebody wants me to pay their taxes," she said live on stream. By November 2025, reports revealed Offset rejected a $10 million settlement offer, insisting, "I built her brand. I deserve half." This is not just a man caught in headlines. This is a life threaded with violence, ambition, family, and heartbreak, now colliding in one harrowing moment in a hospital bed. He declared, "I built her brand. I deserve half." By October 2025, Offset went public on Keke Palmer's show, his voice heavy with exhaustion. "I'm ready for this to be over," he admitted. "For both our sakes, it's time to move on," he continued. This would make a louder story than what we actually love, music, art creation. He didn't shy away from admitting his mistakes. "I should have respected her more. I was selfish. But we've got so much to live for. Our kids," he confessed, the weight of fatherhood pressing on every word. Even amid custody battles, financial disputes, and relentless public scrutiny, Offset kept making music. Together, the trio of Migos redefined a decade of hip-hop, dropping chart toppers like Bad and Bougie and albums including Culture. In 2019, he stepped out solo with Father of 4, followed by 2023's Set It Off and 2025's Kiera, most recently releasing Haunted by Fame. The man lying in a hospital bed in Hollywood, Florida, on that Monday night was not just a rapper. He was a father of 6, navigating a bitter divorce, mourning a cousin cut down by gunfire, a man scarred by years behind bars, and someone still trying to rebuild a shattered life while creating art. And then in one horrifying instant, 7 p.m., a valet area at a casino, all of that almost vanished. That is why the footage struck so hard. This wasn't just celebrity gossip. It was a life, raw and chaotic, laid bare for the world in a few fleeting seconds of hospital video. A life defined by ambition, tragedy, family, and survival. As for now, the Sano Police Department confirmed officers were on the scene, securing the area. Offset's injuries were non-life-threatening, and the investigation continues. The site is safe, the public unthreatened. Operations continue as normal. Fox 5 Atlanta reports that 2 people were detained, though authorities haven't confirmed arrests, motives, or what sparked the gunfire. The identities of the detained remain unknown, and the chain of events leading to the shooting is still a mystery. What we do know, Offset is alive. A spokesperson confirmed he is receiving care, monitored closely and stable. His team has maintained a careful, controlled message, steady, precise, reassuring. No posts, no stories, no direct word from Offset himself. Silence. Only statements from his representatives. Cardi B has also stayed silent. With their divorce, every word or omission will be dissected. But the headlines, the speculation, none of that matters at this moment. What matters is the bigger story. A life that has survived bullets, betrayal, loss, and relentless public scrutiny, and still refuses to break. Monday's shooting hit just over 3 years after Offset's childhood friend and Migos bandmate Takeoff was fatally shot in Houston. 3.5 years. That's all it took for the same family, the same circle, the same world, to be haunted by gun violence once again. After Takeoff's death, Offset had poured his grief into words, calling their shared moments priceless, lamenting that the industry never handed them the respect they deserved. He posted that he loved Takeoff and still felt him near. And now, the roles were reversed. Offset, the man who couldn't even voice his pain over his cousin's death without pretending it wasn't real, was now confronting a bullet in his own body. The viral hospital footage isn't just about curiosity. It's about a cycle the public is weary of watching. Young men, talent, and promise, repeatedly caught in violent patterns. It's about seeing a 34-year-old man, Kiari Kendra Cephas, known to the world as Offset, one-third of Migos alongside Quavo and Takeoff, lying in a hospital bed when he should be anywhere else. The Rocket Foundation, started by Quavo after Takeoff's death, exists to stop this very cycle. Meetings with the Congressional Black Caucus, grassroots programs, community initiatives, all aimed at preventing gun violence from claiming more lives. And yet, here we are. The footage went viral because it evoked something no one wanted to face again. It reminded the world of Takeoff. It made people shiver at how close this could have been to a tragic headline. It reignited conversations about a problem that has lingered for years unresolved. For now, the facts are clear. Offset is stable. Offset is alive. That's the headline. But beneath it lies the history, the pattern, the grief, and the raw human pain. And that's why no one can look away.